agree, just please note that we will.
May I start? Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, you may start.
All right, thank you. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the STEM Lockdown Digital School. My name is Katlaho Mative, and I'll be presenting the Grade 10 Life Sciences lesson to you guys. Welcome to a new week. I hope you guys...
Long weekend of some sort. It's Monday, the 4th of May, and I welcome you to today's lesson. If you can hear me, please say hi in the chat. If you can hear me, please say hi in the chat. Thank you, everybody. It's so good to hear from you again. It's been a while. It has been a while. Yes, you know what time it is? It is time for English Grade 8 First Additional Language. I'm still your presenter. I'm still your teacher. I hope everybody's good. And I also hope everybody did the homework that I gave you on Thursday. So let's get started with today's lesson without wasting any amount of time.
Guys had a great weekend. Now, guys, don't forget to use my email address. That is at ls.wisneds@gmail.com for any questions or any help that you guys need, like I've been stating ever since I put up this email address. And my Twitter handle is at cat_leg. So guys, as you remember last week, we started off with a new topic. That topic, it was on the chemistry of life. And we did inorganic compounds, but we didn't get to finish. So today we are going to rush through the inorganic compounds to finish off that section.
So today's lesson, what will it be all about? In today's lesson, we are going to go through question forms. We are also going to learn how to turn a sentence into a question. We are also going to learn about how to write a person's actual words as a direct speech. We are also going to learn about how to report a person's direct speech. So today's lesson is essentially about question forms, direct speech, and indirect speech. Those are very interesting concepts. Those are very interesting topics. So
and under that session, we are going to do fertilizers. And if we finish early, we are going to start off on organic compounds, and we'll start off with carbohydrates. Now, at the end of this lesson, what I expect from you guys is that you should be able to define concepts that are highlighted in bold black. This is my key lesson objective for every lesson, to define concepts that are highlighted in bold black. Secondly, to establish the role of fertilizers in providing minerals, and minerals being your inorganic molecules for plants. Thirdly, to identify the negative effect that chemical fertilizers may have on the environment, to name examples of organic compounds, to give the basic characteristics of carbohydrates, and lastly,
we're really going to have a very wonderful lesson today. Before we get into it, let's recap what we did during the previous lesson. In the previous lesson, we dealt with simple present tense, simple past tense, emotive and manipulative language, sentence structure, as well as negation. Remember, I also gave you a homework based on those concepts from last week's previous lesson. So here are the answers to the homework. Let's run through them quickly. All right, is it the one? Let's see.
To identify which monosaccharides combine to produce which disaccharides. Now, just to quickly recap, last week we started off on the chemistry of life. And we said that cells are made up of organic and inorganic molecules, which in turn are made up of atoms bonded together. These essential compounds or molecules are those that a living organism cannot build itself from other molecules, but must obtain from their environment. So we cannot build these compounds by ourselves. We need them from other sources, such as your food, the sun, from the air, etc. So these essential compounds are classified into two, and we said they are the organic compounds and the inorganic.
So remember in the last lesson, we also talked about, in the last lesson, we also talked about homophones and homonyms, remember? And I gave you a homework based on them. So here are the answers to that. These are just the examples of something that which you had to do. Because in the homework I gave you, you had to write sentences to show that the words I gave you are homophones, and to also show that the words I gave you were homonyms. So that is what the homework was all about. I hope you did it and you enjoyed doing it. So yes, this is what we did. This is the sentences I wrote for the homework. Yes, I know you have written different sentences, but as long as they do communicate that you do understand the differences between homophones and homonyms, that is what we needed to do for the homework. So these are the answers to that homework. So please just take a screenshot and you will go through them in your own time. So question 1 was about literal language. Question 2 was about synonyms and antonyms. So everybody, please do take a screenshot so that you may be able to refer and to add to what you already know. So question 3 was about homophones. Remember what homophones are? We said that homophones are words which sound the same when they are pronounced, but they have different meanings and they are spelled differently. So homophones are the words which have the same sound when you pronounce them, but they are spelled differently and they have different meanings. So I gave you some homophones here that which you had to write as sentences to show that their meanings are different. So this is what I wrote. Yes. So that was the homework that I gave you in the previous lesson based on what we dealt with during the previous lesson. So this is still question 3 about homophones. It continues here. And then we go to question 4, which was about homonyms. And we said that homonyms are those words which are spelled the same, they sound the same, but they have different meanings. So if you can look even in question 4, the words that which I gave you, they are spelled the same, they sound the same even when you pronounce them, but their meanings are different. So that is what we did last week. So these are some of the examples of homonyms. There are many of them. There are many of them. So we are done with last week's lesson content, last week's homework. I hope everybody has taken a screenshot of it. Now we move to today's lesson. I did say today's lesson is about question forms. There we start there with question forms. Remember that question marks are used at the end of direct questions. Please always remember that. Remember that question marks are used at the end of direct questions. I know this is one mistake that many of us do, especially on social media. You know, you're asking somebody a question, but you do not write a question mark. Have you seen that? Like you will ask somebody a question on your social media, but you do not put a question mark, you know. So that's something we need to remember, and that is something we need to do. That every time you ask a question, wherever, whether it is on your social media page or when you're texting somebody, write the question mark at the end so that the person who reads it will know for sure that this is a question. Okay, so remember that question marks are used at the end of direct questions. Right? Okay, let's continue. Have you noticed that when you ask a question, your voice goes up at the end of the sentence and the listener realizes that you are asking a question? Let's go to example to bring it home. Okay, listen to this. Who are you? Who are you?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my class. My name is Kay, your English teacher for grade 9. Thank you for joining me, and let's get started. Right, so today we are doing writing, okay? Our lesson will be on writing. Last week we started with summary writing, and this week you will learn the process of writing, which entails the following. You will learn to plan. So it entails planning, revising, editing, as well as rewriting, okay? Okay, just to double check, can everybody hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. Let's move on. All right, okay. So as I said, that this week you will learn the process of writing, okay, which entails planning, revising, editing, as well as rewriting, okay? So planning. Planning is a creative flow diagram of your ideas, okay? So planning is all about drafting your own ideas and structuring them in a way that is going to make sense for the person who is going to read your work, okay? You are not ready to start writing until you have a plan, okay? Writing without planning is like making a dress before designing it, okay? So you don't know what it would look like if you are making a dress without designing it, okay? So what this means is when you are given a topic to write about and you just jump from the planning process and you just start with writing your essay, okay? Your essay will be all over the place. It will have too many ideas floating around. If not, you'll be repeating the same thing with no substance, okay? So it's very important for you to first plan. So the planning process, it's the first step when you are writing, okay? So you need to make sure that you plan what it is that you are going to talk about, okay? So planning helps you to gather your ideas and organizing them in a logical and cohesive structure so that they can be communicated clearly to the reader, okay? Okay, if you want to write a good essay, maximize your time in planning before you start writing. Right. Okay, so here's an example. You are given an essay topic, and the topic is, what are your own ambitions? Okay, what do you hope to be doing in 10 years' time? Write an essay describing your dreams. Call it, in 10 years' time, I will be. Okay, so your topic will be, in 10 years' time, I will be, and then you will say what will happen. Okay, so if you were given a topic like this, this is how you would do your planning. Okay, so for your introduction, as you can see here, for your introduction, you are introducing your ambition by naming it and giving us a brief background on what it is that you are ambitious about, okay? So your introduction is all about you introducing your ambition and naming it and giving us a brief background on why it is your ambition, okay? Remember, you are still not writing your essay. This is still the planning step, okay? So while you are planning, you go to the middle. Some of you call it the body, okay? So with the body and the other paragraphs that are within the body, you go into details on how you will achieve it, okay? That is your ambition that you're talking about. So you go into details, how are you going to achieve your ambition, the steps you will have to take, as well as the plans you will have to make if things don't go accordingly, okay? And then finally, you go into your conclusion, okay? So here you are planning on how you will feel when you achieve your ambition, who you will tell, and what is it that you will do, okay? So this is like your planning, okay? Others, they draw like a circle when they are doing their planning, but it's still fine as long as we are able to see that you planned before you started writing, okay? So planning is very important. That is where you put down your ideas and you structure them in a way that is going to make sense to the person who is going to be reading your work, okay? So when you're writing, it's very important to keep in mind that there is somebody who is going to read your work. So when this person is reading your work, are they going to be able to understand what you were trying to say, okay? So when you're writing, always keep that in mind that when somebody is reading your work, are they going to be able to understand what you are saying? Okay. All right. So now that you have done your planning, you move on to your content. Okay. So the first thing that happens is that you will get a topic for your essay, right? And then once you have received a topic for your essay, you start with your planning. And once you are done with your planning, you go on to your writing, okay? Okay, so when you get to your writing, you write your essay referring to the notes you had made in your planning, okay? So everything that I am going to find in your essay, it's something that you have already mentioned in your planning, okay? Right. And because you have dedicated your time in planning, you will have a well-crafted response to the topic, okay? So this means that your essay will be structured in a nicely manner and it will make sense to the person who will be reading your work because you took time with your planning and your responses will be well crafted because of the time that you have spent in your planning. Whereas if you don't have planning and you just went right on to your writing without planning, your ideas will be all over the place and the person who's reading your work, they won't be able to understand the stuff that you are trying to say and your response won't be well crafted because everything was done in such a rush, okay? Right. So now you have received the topic, you have done your planning, and you have started with your writing. Now you are focusing on your structure. Okay. So what is it that you are looking for in terms of structure? Right. Here we are talking about your introduction, your body, as well as your conclusion. Okay. Whenever your teacher is talking about structure when it comes to essay, they are talking about your introduction.
I will have to no longer attach these only on the presentation, but to send these to my HOD so that you guys can get a hold of all the homeworks and their memos, okay? So Irene is asking, what does thyroxine do? So a thyroxine, it's a hormone. What does it do? They play a vital role in your heart and digestive functions, or you can say muscle control also. All right, so it helps with muscle control, your heart and digestive functions, and your metabolic rates.
Editing is as important as any other stage as well, because if you're writing an essay and it's full of spelling errors, you are definitely going to lose marks. Okay, so make sure that you spend time on your planning and you spend time on your editing as well. These steps are very, very important. Okay. All right. So now, based on everything that I've just spoke about,
I want you guys to answer them and write them down. Answer the 3 questions. Answer the 3 questions. My hungry goat. My hungry goat eats everything. He eats toast. He eats soap. He even eats my coats. One day I walked down the road and I saw a goat inside my dad's boat. He was eating my float. I still love my silly goat. That's the story. Now let us just get answers after the 3 minutes has ended. Let's see the time. 2 minutes. Answer the questions. Write them down in your books or papers.
say for your introduction, what would you want to mention when you are planning to write your essay? For your introduction, what would you want to say?
In bold black, synthetic fertilizers to replace the lost nutrients. So these fertilizers may contain phosphates and nitrates, and when it rains, the fertilizers may be washed off into the rivers, causing the nutrient content of the river to increase. And this increase causes a rapid growth of plants and algae in the water. And this is the process that we call eutrophication. So the process whereby there's an increased nutrient content which causes a rapid growth of plants and algae in the water due to synthetic fertilizers being washed off into the rivers. So that is eutrophication. And synthetic fertilizers are just man-made fertilizers. Okay. So the increased plant growth, especially the algae, covers the surface of the water, preventing sunlight from reaching the plants.
Remember, they said, what is your point of view about unemployment in South Africa? So your introduction would be about you giving your point of view. Okay, just briefly, you will say whether you think unemployment.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time up. Time up. Time up. Time up. I hope everyone wrote the words down. I hope everyone wrote the words down. All we're doing here, I see that now people saying I must go faster, I must go slower. All we're doing here was just answering the questions. This was intended for us just to get the idea. The important part is going to come in now. So this was just for us to get the idea here, for us to write the answers of the questions here. So that's all. Here's the important part where I'm going to now take my time. So you are working with the words oh. So when you say the words, when you say the words, listen, and I hope people are listening very carefully. You say a long O, it's a long O sound. So when you say it, you say like this one, cold, you go cold, gold. You hear the O sound. Soak, road.
For your body, this is where you explain your point of view. You've just said in your introduction that unemployment is a problem in SA, okay? If you think that it's not a problem, you will say that, okay. As I've just said, you are explaining why is unemployment a problem or not a problem. What's the cause of this unemployment? Is it due to education? Is it due to job opportunities? Is it about people not being skilled or unskilled? So this is where you are just explaining what you have said in your introduction. This is where you are just letting out your facts and everything that you would like to say. Let's see. Dante said in the body, I would talk about how unemployment affects people. Yes, how it affects the country. I'll give my opinion on how we can change. Okay, well, here's the thing, Dante. In terms of your opinion on how it can be changed, that would be on your conclusion. Remember, your conclusion is about you closing up your essay and also offering suggestions. So your suggestions on what can be done, that would be on your last part of your essay. But the other parts are right. You would talk about it, how it affects people and how it affects the country. But your opinion on how to change it would be on your conclusion. Remember your conclusion, that is where you are offering a suggestion or a solution to what you were talking about in your essay. I think that applies to you as well, Sihle, where you would offer solutions to reduce unemployment. That would be on your conclusion. Yeah, you can address, I think this is Dante as well. You can address the topic, but your solution or your opinion has
is exposed to heat. You know, when you put it in that machine where it comes up after it's been burnt a bit, that's called toast. Loaf is what we describe a bread when it's together in shape, all of it together. It's what we call loaf. Load is when you're carrying something. Load is like, you know, when you're carrying something on top of you, it's called a load. Soap is what we bath with. Foam, it can be two things. Foam is like a spongy material that you sometimes find in your mattresses, or you find the ones who do dreadlocks, they use also foam. Boat is what you use to go on water, to go around on water. And toad is a type of frog. Toad is a type of frog. That's how the words are. Yes. Just write all of them down now, all the words down now. You have about a minute left to write down all the words. If you are done, please, it's good to be to notify, but please, guys, please write the words and then we'll have time for questions. So please write down all these words, each and every word. Then I'm going to
the things that need to be corrected. Okay. Have a look at this paragraph and let me know if there's anything that needs to be corrected to university. The main reason I'm keen on university is because it's a stepping stone to a career. If I study at university, I'll be able to get a good job. At least that's what I think. Many people will tell you university is not about preparing you for a job. It's about preparing your mind. I'm planning to study at least 2 South African languages. Then I'm also going to study either geography or geology. I haven't made up my mind which yet. In January, I will go on an orientation week, and then I will get an opportunity to choose between those subjects. I might also do psychology. It sounds quite interesting, although some people say it's a difficult subject. I'm going to stay on the campus. There is a place in the residence for me. I hope I'll make friends there because I don't know anyone else who's going. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, guys, you were listening to that. So you heard me reading, and I'm sure you have read it yourself. What are the things that are not right with this paragraph? Too many short sentences. Caitlin just said that. Correct. What else? Yolisa is seeing some spelling errors. Okay. Yolisa, which spelling errors, which words do you see that are incorrect? Caitlin, there's a repetition of university. Okay. I think Troy is saying the same thing, repeating the same words over and over again. Can try using conjunctions. So we've already have punctuation, repeating the same words. What else, guys? So I think with repeating the same words, and we could put that under poor grammar. There's something else that you guys haven't mentioned. Have a look at it. There's something that you guys haven't mentioned. Have you guys found it? Okay, short sentences, we've already mentioned that. No inverted commas, correct, which still falls under punctuation. I see. There's one more thing that you guys haven't mentioned. I'll give you a clue. This person said, I'm going to university. I've always wanted to go to university. What's the problem there? I'm going, I've always. I'm going, I've always.
The smallest units that more complex carbohydrates are made up of. So like your polysaccharide, it is a more complex carbohydrate. So the smallest or simplest unit of any substance is called a building block or a monomer. Are you guys fine? Because I see a lot of confusion. So the monomer of carbohydrates is the monosaccharide. What is a monomer? A monomer is a building block, or rather the smallest or simplest unit of any substance. And this simplest unit of carbohydrates is called monosaccharides. And yes, these are examples of monosaccharides are your fruits also, because I saw one just sent a reply saying basically your fruits or something like that. Now to focus on disaccharides. Disaccharides, as I said, from the term, yes, Ms. P says that her textbook says an example of a monosaccharide is
having mixed tenses all over the place, as well as your punctuation. So if you are going to have a lot of full stops, you are going to lose marks as to whenever you are writing your essay. I think you can see, yeah, we are still on the first line towards the end. This person saying the main reason I'm keen on university. They left out the main reason I'm keen on going to university is because they said the main reason I'm keen on university is because, of which that is incorrect. Okay, so this looks like a person who didn't plan what they are writing. They just started writing, and this is what happens when you are writing without planning and without editing your work. Okay, as we have said, writing is a process. You don't just start writing. When you are given opportunity to write an essay or to write on a topic, you need to first plan your work. And when you are planning, that is where you are putting down your ideas and you are structuring your essay. Okay, then from there on, you start writing based on what you have planned. And then from planning, again, you have a look at your work. You're making sure that you have an interesting introduction, and what's in your body, it's supporting what's in your introduction. And then you close off with your conclusion, where you are offering solution to whatever you spoke about, where you are summing up everything that you have mentioned in your body. Okay, so each and every step when it comes to the writing process, it is very, very important. So today, I just wanted to go through the writing process with you guys. I'm not going to give you anything to write about, but definitely during the week, I will give you something to write, and I'll give you guys my email address so that you can submit your work. I can have a look at it and assist you where possible. Okay, so what we have just done, it was just editing. Make sure that before you submit your work, you edit. Because if you don't, this is how it's going to sound like to the person who will be marking your work. Okay.
So this is the other diagram here. You can see your carbons. See a question that you guys have. Yes, Miss P, count the carbons, which is the corners. Sure, promoter. So right here, we have the first carbon, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. So you might not be able to see. This is the first one, second one, third one, fourth, the fifth. That's what, here there's no carbon. It's only oxygen. So the other one is here. Hence, it's not a straight line like this one. It goes up and then it turns. There's a carbon there. Okay, but you guys will do this later on. Now, polysaccharides. These are compound carbohydrates. Forgive me for saying that, but they are also compounds here. These are carbohydrates that are made up of more than 2 monosaccharides. Examples are your cellulose and your starch. So all the examples I asked you guys to say is polysaccharides are long strings of monosaccharides. Yes, they are. So functions of carbohydrates, they provide us with energy, storage, and building materials. Okay, so for energy, they are an important source of energy, as we all know that. So during cellular respiration, glucose is broken down to release energy. What is cellular respiration? What is cellular respiration? And under storage, we know that carbohydrates serve as storage substances for energy. For example, in the human body, extra glucose is converted into glycogen and stored in the liver. So whenever your body needs glucose, that glycogen then converts back to glucose and will be used up by your body for other reasons. All right. So our body stores carbohydrates by converting it into glycogen, which is stored in the liver for future purposes when we need it most. And usually it's for when you are exercising, you need more energy. So that glucose will then be used up. And we are saying that it is used as building materials. So as building material, they supply cellulose to produce plant cell walls. So we know that cell walls, plant cell walls are made up of cellulose. So they are used to supply cellulose to produce these plant cell walls. So glycogen is a storage form of glucose, which serves as a form of energy. It will later form as a form of energy, but then it is a storage form of glucose. So it is an energy storage in animals. You can put it like that, glycogen. Guys, we have 5 minutes left to end the session. So let's quickly read through this. So Ms. P is asking, when we test for carbohydrates, we use Benedict's solution. What color will it be if it tests positive for carbohydrates? If you know what I'm talking about. Yes, I do. We are going to do that in our next lesson. So guys, read up on that. Ms. P has given you a clue already. Now, this is your homework. The diagram below is a schematic drawing, which means that the molecules represented may not resemble their actual chemical shape. Use the information provided in the diagram to answer the following questions. So we have polymer A. Polymer A is this side. the circle with glucose molecules around it. And this is the circle here, it's a living animal cell. This is your polymer A. And polymer B is a strand or a molecule. This molecule is a large carbohydrate molecule. So already you have a clue of what this might be. It cannot be, if it is a large carbohydrate, it cannot be a monosaccharide, right? So what is the polymer A that is found in an animal cell? And what is the function of this polymer? Lastly, what could polymer B be? What could it be? I gave you guys a clue. This is your homework. Just take a screenshot. All right. And our takeaway message from today's lesson is that plants may require a supply of inorganic nutrients through natural and non-natural fertilizers. And we know that an excess of these non-natural or man-made fertilizers supplied to plants may result in the process called eutrophication of rivers and lakes. And we started off on organic compounds, and we said that carbohydrates are composed of monomers called monosaccharides. Two or more of these they are not being released, but they are showing you that this is a carbohydrate. On that diagram, it has sugars. All right. So a cell has sugars. So it's just an illustration, like I said from the statement when I read it. We'll go back on the picture just now. Let me finish off here. So we said two or more monosaccharides bonded together are called disaccharides and polysaccharides respectively. And examples of these are your glucose for your monosaccharides, disaccharides, we said sucrose, your maltose, and for your polysaccharides, that is your starch or your cellulose. So these are the links I used. And in our next lesson, we are continuing with carbohydrates. And we are starting off with lipids. So guys, do remember to follow us on all social media platforms. So let me just go back to your homework. We said it is just a schematic drawing, so it doesn't resemble the actual chemical shape. So glucose here, just to show that these molecules are glucose, okay? Don't take that into consideration. And it does happen actually that glucose molecules can be released. It does happen. So this is your homework. You can take a screenshot of that, and do enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and thanks for tuning in today's life sciences lesson. See you guys tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow.